Hi everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Bitcoin market and the cryptocurrency market as a whole, and do a bit of a market outlook on the higher time frames, just going through the market sentiment, the current structure in the market, and the current angles of descent in the market and the current angle of ascent in the market. And just to prove why we've got nothing really to be worrying about with this little candle to the downside here, and also focus once again on the Fibonacci key levels as we do always. But our last major market update on Bitcoin, we was coming up to the top of this big green candle, outlining why we thought the 24 to 25,000 zone would come into play at some point. And obviously we've gone higher at the minute, and we haven't back tested that level yet, so it doesn't have to. But I would anticipate with the late longs entering the market after these big green candles, nice 100% move, flush these longs out of the market, bring back that market sentiment straight back into fear as we was down at the bottom of this candle. But we just return to that same level of fear in the market, but at a higher price for people to start shorting the market at key structural support for us to then short squeeze them and get them waves to the upside. So if you haven't already, guys, smash this video a like. It really helps, and of course subscribe. Let's get into it. So when focusing on market sentiment, we can move over here to the crypto fear and greed index, and this is how people's sentiment are in the market at certain points. And you can see over the past 5 years, we sort of use this midline of the value of 50 of the fear and greed as sort of like a support or resistance. Obviously we do alternate between the two, but if you just have a look at the overall picture here, we do seem to distinguish this 50 level here between lows bouncing off, and then getting above, and then coming back down to support. And you can see where we are now. We are at that 50 level where people are a bit neutral. We've had a nice bounce off of the lows when everyone was fearful down in the lows, November, December. Big move to the upside, but nothing like what we've seen in 2021, or at least even in 2019, which is why I don't think this move to the upside for Bitcoin is done yet, and I am expecting more waves to the upside. But we do need to keep alternating between fear and greed. We can't have everybody getting really greedy, because you can see once we start going parabolic, the market crashes and we have to go back down to extreme fear. And we are now in a slow uptrend to the upside here with fear and greed. So little dips like this back into fear, much expected, can go back down to that 40 level, and I would anticipate we at least make it to 30 a couple of times before reaching the top, just like we did back here in 2019 and just like we did here in 2020 before that big move to the upside. Just jumping back into the charts now for Bitcoin, one thing that I wanted to focus on here was the angles of ascent in previous market structures and the angle of descent in previous market structures for Bitcoin. So if you have a look at that first angle there from the candle bodies, just taking into candle bodies here, excluding some wicks, don't really want the manipulation in this analysis. We've got an angle of 60 there, and on the way down we've got an angle of 45 and an angle of 60 again there from candle body to candle body, and an angle of 47. So we're getting on average angles of around 46 to the downside and 60 to the upside. So you can see here we have at least one or two tests of the angle to the upside before the major correction. Here we had at least 1, 2, 3 tests of the 60 angle to the upside before then the major correction. And now if we just point out another angle to the upside around 60 here, we haven't even really had one touch yet. If you want to class this as one touch to the upside for the 60-degree angle, then you can do, but we'd expect at least another touch to the upside, on this 60-degree angle. So no matter how low this correction goes, although I do think around 25,000 would be a nice zone, I do think we're going to end up working our way back to them upper targets just by using logic and the angle of ascent and descent in previous market structures here for Bitcoin. Jumping into the daily time frame here for Bitcoin, bit of a lower time frame, get some analysis done on the Fibonacci and key levels that we're looking for to come into play for Bitcoin. And I think this idea that I put out on Twitter the other day, I think we're really going to get something like this, because you can see now as the market has come down and got a little bit of a bounce, I think what that is just the shorts closing out, and then the market makers probably wanting to go in for one final push, maybe take all of these wicks of liquidity down here, and then set the market makers longs in the market for that retrace back to the upside, for then to create a nice simple ABC correction to the downside. And I think if you pull the Fibonacci's here from the current swing high to a projected low at around 26,370, something around there. You get the negative 20% there on the Fibonacci for a nice 702 retrace to the upside. Key psychological level here for Bitcoin, 29, 30,000, 786 up around the 30,000 zone, going in for that final push, and that would be a nice one-to-one extension there for a nice ABC correction to the downside. A key structural support as well, 25,000, really psychological as well, and we're going for that big bullish breaker candle fill, so I think that might be what we're getting on the lower time frame. So I think a potential lower time frame trade along there, 26,400, 26,300, would be looking for a bit of a scalp to the upside if you are looking to leverage play the lower time frames. But personally, not really looking to do that so much, really just looking to sit back, relax, and perhaps pick up a couple of cheap altcoins down here at 25,000. And if we take a quick look at the total market cap here, this was the market cap graph that we was using and posting on Twitter to identify the bottom of the altcoin market and the cryptocurrency market back then in March. And we was using these techniques, using the candle wicks to candle body trend line to the downside, with the Fibonacci extensions to the downside and the 1.618 coming in there and hitting it really nice and precisely. But you can see the negative 141% of this whole move down came up and gave us our top there, and I think what we might be getting is just the same there. If you do use the Fibonacci there from the candle bodies to a potential low down here at that 25,000 that we're looking at for BTC, you can imagine that would get a nice retrace back to the upside from that key zone on the total market cap back to around 1.3 1.4 trillion, and I think that's probably what's going to happen. So you would probably get some cheaper prices there on altcoins and Bitcoin. So just using that as a bit of confluence, coinciding with the fear and greed. Imagine the prices get back down to here in the cryptocurrency market. See that fear and greed go back down to 30 and 40. I think that would be a really nice sign to potentially look for them entries if you have not got entries into the market yet. But we was looking at the entries from the lows, so we don't really have to worry too much, and I hope everyone's in a similar situation where you don't really have to worry, you don't feel the need to rush in, because if you feel the need to rush in to a market that you're not in already, that is a bad position to be, which is why we was buying the lows. So just jump back into the Bitcoin chart now, we'll round up there. Us over to the 3-month chart now, get a really nice higher time frame perspective here of Bitcoin and what we've got. And I think really when you have a look at these candles in the next 2 months, we've got really good room to possibly come down, fill this inefficiency, which would align again at that 25,000 zone that we've been looking for. I will link that previous Bitcoin market update from a couple of weeks ago in the description if you want to go check that out, because you might think, well, what am I talking about here? Go check it out, go see what we're saying. We did pump higher, but obviously we're now looking to possibly come back down in the next month or so and then head to the upside, because if you do pull the Fibonacci from the candle body to the candle body low there, you can see them targets that we've been looking for. They really nicely align at the 786 and the 702 of that big bearish candle breaker there. So I do think at some point we're going to see that 40,000 coincide with that 60 angle to the upside, the trend line that we've been looking at. It would coincide nicely with the fear and greed and also the total market cap. So guys, if you did like the video, give it a like. If you didn't, no problem, you don't have to. Give us a comment down below, let me know what else you want to see. If you want to see me chart a set an altcoin, I'll definitely get into that. And of course, it's not financial advice, but all we're doing here is making our best guess and just analysing the market, sitting back, relaxing, and letting the market do the work. So see you again, guys. Cheers.